YouTube should be up. And how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. Our first live severe weather coverage, I believe, of 2026 here. And boy, oh boy, don't we have a lot to talk about here. You can see popping up on your screen here. And you can see that we do have severe weather possible. Now, I'm keeping possible in there because we do have a couple factors here that are going to be in place here. You can see what we're going to talk about, the fail modes that could be limiting the severe weather potential. We'll go over the timing hour by hour, the impacts to let you know if the Cardinals are coming to town with baseball size hail, and a lot of questions about what's the cap. So we'll break that down for you as well. And if you have any questions, make sure you pop it down in the live stream. We'll make sure we get those answers throughout the live stream this evening. So how's everybody? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, now you guys should be able to hear me. Can we get audio check? Okay, audio is doing okay. Alright, so we do have a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather. Still have no sound. Do we not have sound still? Okay, hold on 1 second. Or it says all good now. Are we all good? Shows that we're okay. Okay, we're good? Okay, my beautiful girlfriend producer says we're okay. Sorry about that. You know, I know it must look weird. I'm just mouthing words here. Okay, anyways, glad to see you guys here. Make sure we're sharing the live stream. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from, what city you guys are from, just so we can get an ideal. Make sure we're talking about all the areas. We're not forgetting anybody. So make sure you drop down in the comments where and what city you guys are tuning in from, and we'll make sure we get those answers or those questions taken care of. So the big picture is we have this orange area. This orange area is a 3 out of 5 chances, or on the scale is 3 enhanced weather. You know, this is first live stream, so we have an enhanced risk 3 out of 5 for almost everywhere out of the TKW region that we cover here. So like Bowling Green, Springfield, Quincy, Macomb, Lincoln. This is the higher threat. This is like the bullseye right here. So this is 50 points on the dartboard. So that is what we're looking at. Now we go into our area. Everybody that is tuning in and that follows the Facebook page, we're all in a 2 out of 5 of the severe weather scale, and way down to the corner of the screen goes to 5 and 0. So that is the outlook here, and basically 2 out of 5 means there's an isolated threat of severe weather that will be possible. So let's go into the breakdowns of, before we go into the future radar, we'll show the breakdowns here. Now, we do have a tornado risk. Now, the heightened tornado risk of seeing significant tornadoes like EF2 plus will be almost near the Macomb, Bloomington, Lincoln area. Now, tornado threat for our area is basically borderline. We're basically on the very low end of the scale, but let's zoom in here. I want you guys to take a look here and make sure you guys can see it. You see how we have the hatch risk, especially around like the Herman area. Let's get this right here. The Herman, the Lynn, Warrenton, Wentzville, Alton. All this means is we have a low chance of seeing tornadoes, but if we do see one in this area, it could be very significant. That's what that hatch risk means. We have a low chance of seeing a tornado, but if we do see one in this area, so it looks like we have a couple people in this area. And if you're in this area near Jerseyville, Alton, Wentzville, Troy, or Warrenton, if you think it sounds close to your area, it is in a low tornado threat, and you may be able to see a significant tornado that will be possible. And then everybody else, like I said, is just in a low tornado risk, a 2% chance of seeing a tornado anywhere within the 25 miles of a point. So if you do Union, anywhere 25 miles from Union, you could see a 2% chance of seeing tornadoes. So that's how we read this scale. And we'll go into the hail probability, or let's do the wind probability. Everybody is under a wind probability, which all this means is that we are going to see some thunderstorm potential. That's going to have gusty winds, just like every other thunderstorm. Nothing too crazy here, but that's for like 60 and above mile per hour wind. Now the hail threat. Let's take a look at the hail. Make sure the Cardinals are not coming in town just yet, because they need to win a couple more games. And if you take a look here, 15% hail risk. So we have a 15% chance of seeing some large hail. I don't quietly think baseball size. I think baseball size will be up near the Carrollton and the Bowling Green area, and almost near the Winfield. But you can see the hatch risk, especially near, for instance, near Troy, Jerseyville, Carlinville, all the way up to Taylorville, and just south of Springfield, Illinois. Could see some significant hail, and that might be, if it happens, like I said in our intro, is possible. If it happens, we could see the Cardinals coming to town, and northern Lincoln County, near Jersey County, Carlinville, places like those, the Cardinals will be in town. So that is the threat. Now let's get into the timing here, and hope you guys are doing good this evening. Glad to see you guys all here. Sandy, we are getting right into the timing. I'm so glad that you asked. We're going to get into the timing here. All right, make sure we share the live stream because this is the most important part of the live stream. We are going to be going over the highly requested topic of the video, which is going to be the timing. So make sure you're sharing this with everybody that you know. And we're going to break down the timing. And as we go through the timing, make sure to drop your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure we'll get those answered for you. So let me get it loaded up. We're going to show you multiple scenarios. We're going to show you multiple scenarios because every model is a little bit different, and I'm going to be talking about each model as well. So let me get this loaded up here. Give me 1 second. We just have to get a couple things ready. All right, let's get this. Okay. Oh, let me not do it. Okay. O'Fallon. Just 1 second. We'll show you just about the O'Fallon area. Renee, just give me just a second here. Okay, so let's go into the timing here. Timing's at the top part of the screen. Follow along with me. Don't miss it. It's at the very top part of the screen. Hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, so Monday, as we're watching this video, we can see some sprinkles. Not really looking too crazy. Now, most of Tuesday, everybody, all of Tuesday from the morning to about lunchtime will be good. Don't worry about it. Don't stress. Don't look up at the sky. There's nothing to see. It's going to be just fine, okay? Now, we go into the afternoon, evening time. Look at this. Look at this, everybody. Because you see as we go into the timing here, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., you see how there is nothing? This is because we have a cap in place. Basically, the storm is trying to go up, and it hits this spot, and it can't go up anymore. It's like a drawbridge. It's just not going to open to let the ships go through. That is why we're not seeing any storms, but this is, in my opinion, from 4 to 7, going to be the prime time that this severe weather event takes place. Now, the cap could break. That warm air, it could break and the doors could open. And if the doors open, we could be going crazy talking about strong tornadoes, hail, and wind. But right now, with the latest data that we have, it's just not showing that. But as we get into the evening time, it's not completely out of the woods. We're not out of the woods after that main threat window. We are going to have the cold front move in, but you can see with this model here, as we get into the early morning hours, it starts to weaken, and that's kind of what we expect here. But we'll show you another model as well. But the rain will be going through all through the day. But let's back up a little bit here. And you see how, I want you to take a look here. Especially for our folks in the Potosi area, down near the Cape Girardeau area, southern Jefferson County near Festus, St. Genevieve. We had the Ellis Grove, Illinois. We have to watch some early morning thunderstorms that could potentially turn severe. There is a severe weather outlook for this area that could see maybe an isolated tornado or damaging wind. So that is really what I'm watching here. This is 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning is when we have to watch this. So that is the biggest concern as of right now. And we'll go into our other model that we do have here. And like I said, the main thing is that we have a cap in place. So the cap, if it's going to be strong enough, we do think it's going to be strong enough, but I want to let you guys know, I want to be honest with you guys, that we just won't know if that layer of warm air will go away until like hours before the event. I mean hours before the event. But this is giving a good idea of what we can expect here. So here is the HRRR here. Maybe some isolated showers going overnight. Nothing really too crazy here. And as we go into Tuesday, look at Tuesday. See the model right here. Look at the very top part of your screen here. It is going to be okay. For the most part, up to lunchtime, it's going to be okay. Like I say, do not look up at the sky. There's going to be nothing to look at. You're going to go blind by looking at the sunshine, okay? Now, we go into the evening time. You see how we have this speck, this little blip right here, right? Just north of the Rolla area, almost near the Lynn, Missouri area out there. That is the storm trying to form, but the cap in place is limiting that severe weather potential. But if we can get any storm to form, if any of these blips can form and take advantage of all the parameters that we do have, then we will be talking about a severe weather outbreak going crazy. You guys need to panic, but just right now, we are not seeing it at the moment. But like I said, as the storms come through, you can see out to our west, that is the cold front. That is the cold front that's going to be moving through overnight. But as it moves overnight, there is questions. You can see with this model that it still may be severe. We could be talking about an isolated tornado, maybe some damaging winds, and isolated large hail that will be possible, mainly along and north of I-70 in both Illinois and in the St. Louis, Missouri area. We could be watching a damaging wind threat. So like I said, if we don't get any storms in the early evening, we have to watch overnight, as just in case the cold front does not weaken, because you can see going right near Troy. This is not the exact placement, but it gives you a good idea. Like, we're still talking about severe storms at 1 in the morning. So 1 in the morning, we're still talking about potential severe storms. So it's like a two-time event. We get the cold front, or we get the early morning storms, or both is what we have to watch out. And that's what I'm really watching here. I think the overnight hours will have the better potential to see severe weather instead of the early evening. But from 4 to 7, I want you guys to be paying attention. Eyes to the skies, eyes to Team Kenny Weather's Facebook page, because at any time this cap could just say, you know what, I'm done, it's just going to break, storms will go haywire, and then now we really have to pay attention. So the 5 o'clock commute, evening commute, make sure you have multiple ways of receiving alerts through online, through your car, on your phone, whatever it might be. Make sure you have alerts that will be sending through your phone, just in case, like I said, if these storms could be severe, because if we go into once we go into the early morning hours, the cold front will be moving through here. Let's see if it updates as it goes through. A little bit laggy here. Everybody's trying to use the data, but like I said, the biggest thing is as we go into the early morning hours, I want you to be mindful our places down south in the early morning hours. Maybe an isolated damaging wind threat or tornado threat could be possible in the early parts of the morning, but the confidence remains very low in that happening as of right now. So let me show you a couple things, because I'm going to show you what I mean by what the cap is in place. So right now we got the timing out the risk, in my opinion. Now we're going to show you the facts behind. We're going to show you why this is happening. So let's take a look here. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure you're dropping them in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer them for you. So let's take a look at the sounding here, and we might have to adjust it so you guys can see it. Let's take this down. Okay. Let's see. Let's get it lined up in the screen so you guys can see. Okay. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this is called a hodograph. I know we have seen these before, but we have a hodograph, and I'm not going to bore you, but I'm just going to show you a couple of quick things that here and our weather center and Josh behind the scenes, our senior weather analyst, is looking at. You see, here is your temperature. So let's get a brighter color so you guys can see. So the red line is your temperature going up with height, and then this is your dew point right here. And basically, if you want severe weather, you want these two either right on top of each other or right next to each other, going all the way up, straight up, without it turning, just like how I just drew there. Now, as we go up into the atmosphere here, look how, see our dew point? See how it goes like this and it just knocks itself to the left and then it cuts back over? That is the cap right there. That is what is called a cap. So as storms go up and they form, they're hitting this cap, and basically they either die. It's like a slicer. Either they die and it'll throw a line right through, and then it either goes back down or just goes bye-bye, and we have no severe weather potential. But if this cap does not go, and you see how we have straight lines, if the cap goes bye-bye, storms will be able to take all the way up the energy through the roof, because down here where it says the Kate values, we are like through the roof. You want them at least above 1500. We're at 2870. So we're nearly double the energy that will be. So the atmosphere, basically what I'm saying is the atmosphere is just sitting ready to go, like you warmed up your car, but you just lost the keys. You lost the keys, you don't know where it went, but your car is just warmed up, it's ready to go, it's gassed up. The atmosphere is primed. That's why I said if the storms can break through the cap, we could be talking about some significant severe weather, and let me show you that as well. Let me continue showing this as well. You can see down here all these little numbers about wind shear, blah blah blah. Yes, we'll have enough wind shear. That is irrelevant to the situation. But as we go into the hodograph over here, you see how, let's zoom in. Let's see if we can zoom in on this. We may be able to. You see how this, you're going to have to look very hard at this. We'll go over the timing in just a second for everybody that just tuned in. But you see how we do have some curvature inside as we go up in the atmosphere. This is almost like a weather balloon. But you see we do have some curvature that is representing spin in the atmosphere. So we're going to have some rotating clouds in the atmosphere, but like I said, the cap is just going to be too strong. You can see that we will have tornado possibility if the cap breaks here. And down below here, just some random analog stuff. It just basically shows like what this used to look like for other significant events. So like when hodographs look like this, we saw 4-inch size hail, we saw significant supercells, but sometimes we saw weak because the cap was in place. So like I said, the cap is really going to be the limiting factor here, and that is what we're talking about, the fail mode that will be possible inside the severe weather event. So the cap is what's going to be helping. It does look like a moderate cap. So it does look like at this current moment, with the data that we do have, that it looks like it's going to be a difficult time to erode the cap and make storms develop. So that's why, if you're curious, that's why we're only in a 2 out of 5. But say tomorrow at, listen to this everybody, say tomorrow at 11 a.m. we send out the weather balloons and we determine the cap is weaker than we thought, because all the models have to do is just be off by a degree. That's all it takes for this forecast to go wrong, and we get the severe weather event. So it's very crucial. So around like 11 a.m. or so, when the SPC updates the risk, we could very well go into enhanced risk if the parameters, if the cap hold in place. We can see tornado watch. It certainly is possible. Just because you don't see any storms on the future radar here as we go into the afternoon time does not mean that we're going to be out of the woods, okay? So just because we're not seeing anything now, there's still, basically what I'm saying is there is still time for it to change, okay? But this is just a guidance of what we think might happen. So like I said, we're not clearly out of the woods. Like, we still have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, but I do think if we do have any severe storms that are guaranteed, is going to be in the overnight hours. But I really think that severe weather event will be a little bit on the low end side, rather than if we're waiting around the 4 or 5 o'clock, things like that. So let me show you that again, show you what we're talking about. So like I said, from 4 to 7, we need to be paying attention to our Facebook page. We need to be paying attention to the skies, and make sure you have your phone on for lots of alerts, just in case if that cap does the break. And make sure you're watching out around the midday hour. That's when, around 10, 11 p.m., that's when the Storm Prediction Center likes to update their graphics, and they feel extremely confident that something's going to change. So make sure you're watching out all day. Just check back and forth throughout the day for the updates here. But like I said, if storms like this can break through the cap anywhere in our area, the atmosphere will be primed and ready to go. So 4 to 7 is my main target window. But as we go into the overnight hours here, that doesn't happen. We can see the storms fire due to the cold front that is moving through. And that's where we have to watch the overnight hours. So Tony over in the Alton area, I would watch out just in case in the overnight hours around the midnight time as the cold front moves in. It does look like it wants to pop up some severe weather now, even though it doesn't show any storms to our southern areas near Union, Raleigh, St. James, places like those. It is certainly still possible. It's just that where the model thinks like it can still shift as it happens. So don't want to let you know like, hey, nothing in Union, we will be okay. We need to remain on alert. This is a very tricky system. There's a lot of things that could happen, and we have to stay on guard throughout the day. I'm not saying that we need to panic, but we just need to make sure we're well aware of what's going on throughout the day, because it can change. We're just watching that warm layer in the atmosphere. If it goes gone, storms will fire, and boom. But if we can get storms may fire, but they just might not be able to get past that level, and we might get some light rain around the area as well. So make sure you're monitoring that. But we could see some isolated strong thunderstorms overnight on Wednesday here for some parts of the area as the cold front moves through. Widespread rain we do think is going to be happening on Wednesday, but like I say, if you're down near the Potosi area, let's watch out as well. Potosi, the St. Genevieve, Farmington, Perryville, Cape Girardeau. Let's watch this area because there's a big question mark that we may get some conditional severe weather as well as we go into the early morning hours on Wednesday. So that's what we have to watch out, because isolated tornado, damaging winds, and hail will all be possible as we go into the severe weather event. So like I said, the breakdown is storms are possible. We're still putting storms possible. The severe weather event, everybody, is very highly conditional. It is very, very conditional. If you want to go see any storms, if you want to go storm chasing as well, the best place to go is way up here, like anywhere along up here. Anywhere up here is the best place to go for storm chasing. But down here, it's just a big question mark. Big question mark is like, will the storms be able to go through like this, or will the storms be getting capped out with this warm layer in the afternoon and evening time? But let me show you one more time that throughout Tuesday, all the way up in lunchtime, like I said, don't look up at the sky. There is nothing to look at. There's nothing to panic about. But around 11 a.m., make sure you're going on your phone onto the Facebook page and you're checking to see what the latest update is on the severe weather event as well. So like I said, conditional severe weather will be possible. That's why we have been saying possible, not likely, because there's a lot of factors that will be going into this situation. So that is what we're looking at right now. Does anybody have any questions so far? Does anybody have any questions about this severe weather event? Let me know. Make sure you drop it down in the chat. And if you have any questions, make sure you're watching that as well. But I think, in my honest opinion, I think the slight risk is conservative, just in case, but it's really going to have to take a lot for the convinced to see a severe weather outbreak. I'm not calling it a severe weather outbreak. It is going to take a lot of... The cap is really strong. It's like moderately strong. So it's not a weak cap where it'll just take a couple hours, but it could probably take the whole event until the cold front moves out to have severe weather. So like I said, if we get to like about 4 p.m., 7 p.m., and still nothing's happening, especially around like 7 p.m. when the sun is going down, then there's really no severe weather that is going to be possible. So that is what we need to be watching here. And like I said, in my honest opinion, here is my honest opinion, everybody. So if you're just tuning in, here is my honest opinion on the latest data that we have received. Give me 1 second, just getting a report here. Don't mind me. It says, thank you so much for all you do. Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. How can I get a cap? I got one coming for you, and we may be having a giveaway coming up and merch release soon, but that's irrelevant. But my honest opinion, everybody listen up. Listen up, my honest opinion. I think storms, it has been consistent for a couple days. I think storms are going to have trouble forming with that warm layer. Now we could see at 11 a.m. that cap was not as strong as we thought. Okay, that is a possibility, but I think right now is like a 60% chance. 60% chance it could be possible. Now, if it does happen, we need to be on guard. Like we need to stand up. We need to button up the top button in our suit, and we need to make sure we're watching the Facebook page accurately. So we are getting the latest updates because these storms. I just want to let you know if these storms form through the cap. Remember, if you guys are just tuning in, this is my honest opinion. Okay, this is no hype, no nonsense, straight facts of what's probably going to happen. Now, if we get a storm that does form, okay, if we get a storm that does form, it will quickly go severe. The atmosphere is prime. Like I said, it's like your car's remote started. It's all nice and cozy, heated seats on, like it's just ready to go. But you just lost the keys and you can't get in and drive. You don't know how to open up the door. So, like I said, if we do get a strong storm, it's going to quickly go severe, almost like a light switch, due to how much energy we have, how much wind shear we do have, and the atmosphere to have spins. And if that does happen, we could see the Cardinals come to town, and they will have a winning streak because we'll have home runs. Everybody's taking home a baseball with the baseball large hail that we will be having if that does happen. But I just don't see enough confidence in the data that we have to throw it at you that an outbreak is coming. I want you to know it's possible, but it's not likely yet. Okay? That's the biggest thing. It's possible, but not likely yet. Okay? That's the biggest thing I want you to take away. I'm just not convinced. If you're to ask me, I'm not convinced to scare you to say that there's a severe weather outbreak, but I just want to let you know if it does happen, you have been warned that it could quickly become severe and we have to take certain precautions. Now, we go into the overnight hours with the cold front. I do think that some of us will be able to see some type of severe weather. I think at least in the overnight hours, I think a warning or two could be issued for damaging winds, and if the line holds up, maybe an isolated spin-up tornado. So, isolated brief tornado. If it's overnight, brief tornado. We're not talking about EF5 tornado gonna blow your house down, but it will knock some trees down and may cause some isolated damage. Some hail will be possible and damaging winds will be possible. Enough to wake you up, but not enough to make you take shelter in your basement. So, like I said, I would have your weather radio on as well as you go to sleep. Make sure you have your ringer on for alerts, and make sure you're checking back for updates throughout the night for that weather event. But in my opinion, if we were to see any severe weather, it will be in the overnight hours, and it's going to be like a marginal threat of severe weather, okay? Marginal threat, like damaging winds 60 miles per hour, a light spin-up tornado. It's almost like if all 10 of us that are watching and all 964 of us went like blew air out our mouth. That's probably how strong the storms are going to be, okay? It's not enough to knock you over, but it will be enough that you need to wake up and pay attention to our Facebook page to watch what's actually going on. So, like I said, early the evening hours, let's pay attention around 11 a.m. 11 a.m. is going to be almost the last call to figure out what's actually going on, because they're going to hopefully they send out weather balloon data and they'll let us know if that warm air, how strong it is, if it's still circling. It's going to tell us a whole bunch of stuff. So make sure, I would set a time around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. to make sure you check back here for the update on that for the further update. But like I said, 4 to 7, I'm not overly convinced at this stage of game. And remember, we're about, over like 12 hours out, not too far away. There's only small parts that can change when you're this close in the forecast, but I think most of our area should be just fine from the 4 to 7 p.m. I'm not really expecting anything crazy, but I think we just need to have our one eye open as we go to sleep, as we may be able to see some potential severe weather. But I do think most of the severe weather that will happen overnight will be north of I-70 in Illinois and in the St. Louis region. So if you're north of the St. Louis area, if you're in like North County, off Newtown, Lincoln, Jersey, Alton, places like those, and all the way over near Mexico and Colombia, I will watch out overnight. Okay, if you guys are up here, anywhere up here, I will watch out overnight. Down here, let's just stay on guard. Not totally throw it out the window, but let's just keep in mind just in case it wants to form all the way down as it's passing through. Let's stay confident and prepared on that. And then the last thing is, as we go into the early morning hours, I want our folks down near the Potosi, Farmington, Raleigh, St. James, Ellis Grove, Illinois, Carbondale, Marion, Benton, Heron, all those, West Frankfort, Perryville, Farmington, Denton, places, every place like that, and further south as well, for an isolated morning storm that could produce an isolated tornado as well, because the severe weather risk goes from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. So 6 a.m. Tuesday to 6 a.m. on Wednesday. So this covers all the way here. That's why we have the marginal, the slight risk, because it also covers this event as well that is in the slight risk. So that is my honest opinion. Now, like I said, 4 to 7 p.m. we need to watch, but if it does happen between 4 to 7 p.m., I just want to let you guys know, be prepared. Be prepared, because storms it will go quickly. But it's just all the data that we have. The view for us is just not showing anything. It's just not showing, like, to be honest with you, just, what I'm seeing here, it's just not showing nothing. Even that northern event that's supposed to be happening, like the tornado outbreak, enhanced risk, it's really not, like, showing anything. Like, look at this. Here is the NAM model here, and it's just showing almost nothing besides a couple of severe storms that we talked about overnight. So, like I said, the 4 to 7 range here, we're going to show you all the models, and you can see as the cold front moves through, more showers and thunderstorms will be possible, and it's going to be raining all day on Wednesday, so just remember that it's going to be wet out the door all day. So once we get into the later half on Wednesday, it'll be good. Let's check some more data, because like I said, everybody, it's just not convincing me. I think the slight risk is there. I think it's appropriate, because if it does happen, I think it works out good, because here is the Euro model here. This is not usually what we look for severe weather, but you can see in the afternoon, evening time, this is 4 p.m., storms are still struggling. You can see this is the third model that we have seen that storms are still struggling in that great environment. The cap is strong. All the models are strong. That strong cap, basically the limiting forcing that we have for storms here. And you can see we do have a couple storms that will form, and we just have to watch to see if those could break the cap. Like, we may see some rain, but we just won't see the severe weather. And as we get into the evening hours, look at the cold front that moves through, and you can see this is 1 a.m. Definitely agreeing on the severe weather event as the cold front moves through. But you can see even here it's showing north of I-70. So that's why I say if you're north of I-70 overnight, just make sure you have your weather radio on. We'll try to do the best we can to provide updates overnight. Do have to work the next morning, but we'll try our best at what we can do overnight with that severe weather threat. But let's just check one more model here. Let's check the GFS here. So basically, if you have not found a pattern yet in this live stream, is that we are not overly confident, though. Basically, the models are not screaming at us, hey, this is the outbreak, this is a tornado outbreak, we need to freak everybody out. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that we need to be on alert just in case if that was to happen. So the GFS is loading. A lot of people are using it, like I said. So let's take a look here. The GFS is currently showing some rain outside currently. Okay, that is not accurate. Looks very nice outside. And you can see as we go into the evening time, look at the GFS. GFS is another product here in the model category. Nothing is showing, but as we get into the overnight hours, it is showing some thunderstorms and most of the rain as we go into Wednesday. So like I said, everybody, the models are really not showing. We really do think the cap is going to be strong enough to limit the severe weather around our area. And like I said, here is the probability for the severe weather risk here. The 3 out of 5, the best chances of seeing severe weather here is near the Peoria, Bloomington, Joliet, Macomb, Galesburg, Burlington, all the way down to closer areas near Bowling Green, Winchester, Pittsfield, Paris, Mexico, Jackson, and Springfield, closer to our area, has the heightened severe weather because that's where the warm front is going to be. Basically, it's going to be like a warm front. It's almost like a line. And, they're very attractive. It's a very nice looking warm front. So the storms want to ride the warm front. And that's where we'll see the major storm potential. Now, if that happens to change, even a shift south is not going to really do much at this point. But like I said, the cap erodes. I wouldn't be surprised if the slight risk goes or the enhanced risk goes all the way down in here. So that is something to watch. If we do see that cap break, we could see the enhanced risk and maybe a 4 out of 5 up here that would be possible. But honestly, I'm just not seeing anything at the current moment, and it's going to be a lot of nowcasting that's going to be happening. Once we get, like, the overnight models that you're going to see, they don't take in weather balloon data, so it's really hard to figure out what's exactly happening at the 18 Zulu run. There's really no balloon data that goes into that, so that's just something to know if you're looking at the models later tonight. It's one thing to let you guys know about that as well, but that is the risk. And you see the tornado risk, like I said, the tornado risk is there. It's not zero. The tornado risk is there. And you see around the Troy, Jefferson City, we'll throw Lynn in there, in St. Charles, up near Effingham, Jerseyville, Alton, Troy, Winfield, places like those, all are in a chance of seeing a significant tornado if things get going crazy up here. But I think most of this is just talking about the overnight hours. But if we do see a afternoon evening storm, we could see this shift a little bit south, like this 5%. We could see this shift in the 11 a.m. update tomorrow if the model agreement goes well. So that is what we're looking at for the severe weather event. Like I said, it's highly conditional. That's why we have broadcasted what we have said, because it's really almost, if you guys were to ask me, it's almost like a 50-50 shot. But I just don't see anything convincing right now that will throw, hey, we need to be on alert. Mr. Carthen is wondering, how bad is the wind going to get? The wind for the probability. So, I'll show you the wind gusts throughout the day tomorrow. Let you guys know. So, as we go into Tuesday, you can see we do have some gusty winds. We're going to have that warm air starting to get into our area. We can see some gusts about 20, 25 miles per hour, maybe up to 30 at times here. And you can see as we get into the evening time, we're going to be gusty winds all the way through, regardless if we have storms at this point. So it's going to be windy almost like today, but we will see 60 mile per hour winds here if we go back into the outlook here. Let's go into the wind forecast. We do have 15% chance, scattered chances of seeing above 60 mile per hour winds that could blow down some trees, furniture. So if you guys are like Tony, make sure you're strapping everything down. And it looks like, he says, that chop storm looks nuts. Yes, it does, if everything goes right. So if everything goes right, we could see an update tomorrow morning if that cap does not hold in place. But for the couple people that are tuned in, like I said, we do have a giveaway. Giveaway coming. And we're testing the merch out. I'll give you a hint, one of the giveaway items. And we are testing out the merch. We have tons of samples because we keep changing it so much and stuff like that. So that's coming hopefully the first day of the actual spring, not the biological spring, because we already passed that, but the other spring, we could see the merch releasing. Team Kenny Weather merch releasing. Right now we're taking some photo shoots and getting all that stuff done. Stuff like that. So a lot of stuff is coming. And also, I am happy to announce that we have added Joshua Oglesby. We'll see him in an announcements post coming up. But Joshua Oglesby, he's going to be our severe weather analyst behind the scenes, analyzing the storms, and another consultant that we do have here for the severe weather season coming up. So he's going to be alongside us throughout each and every storm event this year. So that is very nice. So we're upgrading our team. We have our director of operations, my girlfriend / producer, everything, and stuff like that. So our team is growing. Everybody. So quick little recap: 3 out of 5 enhanced severe weather is going to be up to our north. That's the greatest severe weather. That's where we think the cap will break and everything will go haywire. And then down here's the slight risk, where all of us here have a conditional risk of seeing severe weather. Prime time will be 4 to 7 p.m. with additional development of the cold front moving through in the overnight hours. So that is what I want you guys to know. So does anybody have any more questions, comments, concerns, recipes? Let me know in the chat. But other than that, it looks like we're all good. Don't see any new reports coming in, any new data that's coming in. Don't see any new data. Let me check here. But like I said, conditional. I'm not overly convinced at this point that we're going to see severe storms in the afternoon, evening time. So let's not stay up all night thinking about that, because it's really not confident as of right now. So, like I said, a slight risk is there just in case. If it does happen, we could see a severe storm. But if not, we will have to watch the overnight hours to see the weather event that happens. So, if you're just tuning in, we do have conditional severe weather risk prime time 4 to 7. We can see storms fire if they break the cap. Let's go back over here and we'll show you the cap. So welcome everybody. Sorry I missed the live stream. Still good at info. Oh, we're still here. We're still here, Kevin. Don't you worry. And just for you, we will go over the outlook here. We'll do an encore presentation. So let's take a look here, okay? So if you're just tuning in, thanks for spamming the like button. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Alright, so let me get this switched over here so we can see. Alright, so watch the time at the top of your head. Here is the data one more time. You can see as we get into Tuesday, once it loads. Like I said, a lot of people are using this right now, so it is going to be a little buggy. Going to be a little bit slow. I'm also going to post an overnight update with the latest model data that comes in around like 9 to 10 p.m. So make sure you're watching out for that. That'll be another update. But besides that, we'll be updating in the morning on their Facebook page. But look at the timing here. So most of Tuesday, I have been telling everybody, don't look up at the sky. You're going to be blinded by the sun. So don't look. But let's start looking at the sky as we go into the evening time. You can see we do have storms that try to form here. There is a cap in place that will limit the storm potential. You can see we click on here anywhere that you pop up here. So let's put this here and let's zoom in. Once again, let's take a look here, and you see that green line? You see this green line here? This is the cap that's in place. You see how it goes up and it goes boop to the left? We want it to either go diagonal like this, how the temperature goes, because it's going to be hot outside. You're going to feel it. So, and then, but we need storms to go up. But it's going to hit this lid and just die. But you can see if it does happen, we have very strong instability. We have lots of wind shear to work with. Everything is there for some large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. So, like I said, the parameters are there for a severe weather event. There's no way to sugarcoat it if it does happen. We could see something happening. But as we go into the overnight hours, we have to watch out for the cold front basically anytime after 9 p.m., basically after midnight, almost like the last one, we will have to watch for some isolated severe weather. So, isolated severe weather, we have to watch out as we go into the evening time. So, the evening time, we have to watch out for the isolated severe weather event that may be causing issues overnight hours. So, make sure you have a way to get warnings overnight. We'll try to do our best, post updates as we can throughout the overnight hours. But that's where we could see another chance of severe weather. Basically, some isolated hail, isolated spin up tornado, and a 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts cannot be ruled out anywhere north of I-70 at the current moment. And we have to watch out for some early morning development down near Potosi, Carbondale, all those nice fancy places for a isolated tornado as well around 6 a.m. So that is the outlook. It looks like we've been on here for 49 minutes, and I am dehydrated because I have been talking so much. So if you guys have any last minute questions, make sure you post them in the chat. If not, I think we're going to wrap up the live stream. We're going to look at some data. If you missed the live stream, make sure you go back after uploads, and you'll be able to see everything that we talked about, everything that we're looking at, and stuff like that. So, looks like I don't see any questions or comments coming through the chat. So, I think we're going to wrap up the live stream right now. Like I said, we'll have a little late post for the late night viewers. We'll have it a text for the people who couldn't watch because it was very nice out. So, we'll throw another text forecast tonight, probably around, 9:30. Let you guys know what the latest data is. Or whenever we get the newest data, we'll throw a late night post for the readers that have not watched the live stream. So look out for that. And then make sure you set your alarm for around 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. because, like I said, the cap could be weak. All it takes is a temperature, 1 degree temperature difference to determine if we have severe weather that's going to be possible. And we'll try to bring up the most up-to-date and live streams as needed throughout the day, Tuesday evening, and maybe into the early overnight hours. So make sure you're watching that. We have all our team that's going to be on staff tomorrow evening that's going to be coming in and monitoring these storms. We're going to have everybody available at our disposal, and we're going to be here for you. Regardless what happens, we're going to have lots of updates throughout the day, blowing up your feed and live streams if needed. So with that being said, I think we're going to wrap up the live stream for now. And I think we'll see you tomorrow. Let's hope not. Let's hope you don't see a live update. That means we do have severe weather. But make sure you're checking back regularly on the Facebook page for live continuous updates on this severe weather event. Have a great night. Enjoy the warm air. Enjoy the sunshine before that active pattern and more spring storms continue in the St. Louis region. Have a great night, everybody. Make sure you check back here regularly for updates, and we'll see you then. Take care.